and you touched upon how Indians are seekers, and that has been a big part of our culture. But what is it that India has done for the world, and how do you see us? What role do you see us playing moving forward in the global spectrum of everything? How do we move forward? How has India helped the world move forward?
So what is India's contribution to the world? If that is a thing, there are 1,000 things to say, but because both of us are on right now in United States, let me count quote somebody, because I'm not used to quoting anybody usually, I'm not good at those things. But let me quote Will Durant, an American writer who wrote about the story of human civilization or something like this. India was the motherland of our race, and Sanskrit, the mother of Europe's languages. India was the mother of our philosophy, of much of our mathematics, of the ideals embodied in Christianity, of self-governance and democracy. In many ways, Mother India is the mother of us all. I think he encapsulates almost everything that I would have liked to say, because it will go into thousands of things that have been contributed and which has been misrepresented around the world. I think I know there are a whole lot of people who will immediately pounce on me for this, but I think a more unprejudiced look at world's history is very needed. Then you will see a whole lot of threads will go back to India. When I say thread, we were the first ones to weave the thread also, the cotton and silk thread, all right?
Mm.
And the sutras, the Yoga Sutras, Karma Sutras, Shiva Sutras, Brahma Sutras, and even Kama Sutra, all right?
Yeah. We talk about be the revival. That is a big theme for this week. Are we in a revival? Is a revival of utmost importance? Are we at any point of time always in a revival, or is this a certain point of time where that is absolutely necessary or already a train that is in motion?
See, what do you try to revive? You try to revive that which is dead, right?
Hmm.
How do you revive the living, I'm asking? So instead of talking about revival, let me put it this way. See, the greatest contribution, in my opinion, Will Durant maybe did not cover this in some sense. In my way of looking at life, which is not intellectual, you can see I'm not intellectual. My way of looking at life, the most significant dimension that came from India is many thousands of years ago, Adiyogi said that if you are willing to strive, you can evolve into whatever possibility that is beyond the natural limitations of life. What you think are laws of nature which are controlling you, you can go beyond that if you strive. That is essentially he is saying, you're not some kind of an absolute or some kind of a making of God, that God made you perfect and you're there. He is talking about you can evolve, but it takes striving. Like we know today there is an evolutionary theory which is about 150 years old, that came from Charles Darwin. But
Hmm.
many thousand years ago, over 12, 15,000 years ago, Adiyogi spoke about evolutionary process on the planet in a different context. And then he said, as a human being, you can evolve, but you can only evolve consciously. Because unconscious evolution of bringing you to this point of evolution is over. Now from here on, your evolution can only be conscious. But now, if you want to evolve consciously, one important thing, whatever you're calling as yoga, for example, because the entire Indian culture is fundamentally rooted in the yogic culture. When we say yogic culture, let us not think of just twisting and turning as it's happening in the world right now. When we say yoga, we're talking about union. When we say union, in your experience, your sense of your individual and the universal has merged. You have become one with the existence. From that context, everything has to happen, that is what it means. First you establish in yoga, then you act. This is the thing that is going on in India, yoga stahakur karmani, always people are talking about it. Without knowing, they think if you twist and turn, you're in yoga. No, that is just a physiological to prepare the body so that it's in some sense of comfort and well-being. But the important thing is you have a sense of union. As we already went through, your barriers are only of memory. What is
mm,
yours, what is not yours, what is you, what is not you, all this is rooted in the accumulated memory that you have. So to transcend this is yoga. To transcend the limitations of what you think is me right now is yoga. Now we are trying to transcend this intellectually, but this whole yogic process essentially means you are absolute maker of your destiny. This is the only culture on the planet which gave you this idea that your life is your karma. That means your life is your doing. The karma, the word karma means act or action. So your life is entirely your making. So this is not, this is a godless culture, I want you to understand. People, Indians will have a little bit of a shock, but they need to go through this because they need to understand you have evolved in a culture which does not believe that you are an absolute stamped by somebody from up there. You are an evolving process. If you're willing to strive, you can go beyond all those so-called natural limitations upon yourself. Now, why is this important? This is important because Adi Yogi might have said it 15,000 years ago and might have given mechanisms and methods to evolve yourself beyond that, but the world was never really ready for it. Human beings were never really ready for it because they did not have the necessary intellect to understand, first of all, what he's talking. In the sense, today, 21st century, more people can think for themselves than ever before. Whether they're thinking right, wrong, that's a questionable thing, but more people are thinking for themselves than ever before. To put it in a very, in a realistic way, see, 100 years ago, women were not even supposed to think. If they thought for
mm,
themselves, they were branded as witches, and you know what happened to them. So, straight away, with education spreading without gender discriminations, 50% of the human population has come into the thinking process of their own thinking. Once you start thinking, you naturally think logically. Once you think logically, anything that's illogical doesn't fit into your mind. Right now, we are in a cusp of a generation, we are struggling between these two, belief and seeking. Your intellect wants to know, it is seeking, but your memory is soaked in belief. So this is a
mm,
generation which is right now struggling with this. So as quickly as, because it is essential that we evolve consciously, in this generation, we must raise questions about the fundamentals of everything that we have believed till now. Right now, when I say everything that we have believed, this is something I'm seeing, which was which is a kind of a retrograde in my experience. I was just watching, like you're in Los Angeles, probably if I say football, you will think of that thing which doesn't look like a ball, which they throw,
yeah,
because
yeah,
our idea of a ball is round. So we call it football or soccer now. I was just looking at the history of this game. I saw when people like Pele was playing, George Best was playing, Cruyff was playing, whenever they struck a goal, they just jumped around, they shook hands with each other, or just leapt up or did a somersault, that was it. But now I'm seeing in recent times, whenever they score a goal, they will do, God, you scored the goal. I thought
yeah,
only Maradona had that hand of God, but it looks like everybody has, because everybody is looking up and praising God. Even in India, when they score a century, they're saying, you scored the century.
yeah,
Now this is a backward step, I'm saying,
mm,
because this is important. In this generation, we ask questions. Questions means like this, now you're pointing up. Is it true the planet is round? At least now you know. In India, we have always known the planet was round. You must
mm,
understand, geography is referred to as Bhugol. That means the studying of the globe. This is not now. I'm talking about Mahabharata times when 5,000–6,000 years ago they talked about planet being round, not because of Galileo, well before that. So if you look up on a round planet which is spinning, inevitably you're looking up in the wrong direction, I'm saying. So when you're talking about intellect, this is what intellect should do. It take out everything that's illogical within you. If everything illogical is taken out within you, that means all belief systems are taken out within you, you will naturally come to a state that you clearly understand what you know is so small and what you do not know is limitless. This is what makes you a seeker. You don't become a seeker because I say you become a seeker. You become a seeker because you clearly understand the limitations of your faculties, how far it can go. And when you see there is a wall that you cannot cross, then you understand you need to seek. And instruments of seeking are needed now. Now, till you see, let's say you're in a prison, and the prison was very big, and you thought you were free and you're walking all around. One day you hit the prison wall. Only when you hit the prison wall, just your two legs are no more enough, isn't it? You need something else to burrow through this wall or climb across this wall or fly across this wall. You need a different methodology or a different faculty or a different process for this. This is what spiritual process means. Spiritual process is not looking up or looking down. The word spirituality has become one of the most corrupted words on the planet, but essentially spiritual means you hit the limitations of your physical and psychological structures. So now you're looking for something beyond. Now, something beyond does not mean you score a goal and say this. You're saying that because you think somebody up there is doing it, that means you're a goal scorer by chance. So if you live by chance, anxiety is normal. If you live accidentally, anxiety is normal, isn't it? So right now, that is what everybody is saying. Anxiety is normal, you have to treat yourself, you have to do this. No, anxiety is not normal. Anxiety has come to you because you have assumed things that you do not know. You have used confidence as a bridge, not your clarity. If there was clarity, there would be no anxiety, because confidence is an empty shell. You're always anxious.
But logic, I think that is the confusion. I think that's what we get mixed up. What we think is logical makes sense to us. Like if you say the earth is round, the only way it makes sense to me is if I see a photograph of it. This is my logic. This is what logic does to us.
No,
So,
no, it's not your logic which got you there, let me tell you. See, if you and me were just… Then we went up and stood on the moon and looked down, absolutely clear, it is round. So you distance yourself from your reality. That is when you know this is what is needed for you to understand the limits of your physiological and psychological process. You need a little distance. This is what the tools, the many tools that yoga is providing is just this, to create this distance between you and what you have accumulated. When I say what you have accumulated, I'm not talking about your fancy 12 sets of golf kit, 12 sets of golf clubs that you have, and clothes and I know, it's okay. And many things that you possess. But the very body that you carry is an accumulation. The very mind that you carry is an accumulation. The very genetics that you carry is an accumulation. The very human form is an accumulation of things over a period of time. And the most important dimension of Bharat is this: to possess everything, but never to be possessed by anything.
yes, beautiful. Sadhguru, on that note, we don't have much time left. I will invite a wonderful moderator back. I think she has some questions that were sent in, I believe. So she may be coming on to ask some of those questions. Thank you for being
So,
nice to me today, not yelling at me
Eddie,
the
I will
whole
be…
time.
No, I will be very careful with Eddie because she's not used to my meanness, so
Well, I have to be very careful with my words. I can see that from your conversation so far. So I have some questions that have come through from the audience. Here is one that's come through from Rohan from India. He's asking, what are some simple steps that humans should take in their daily lives towards a more conscious planet or towards becoming a seeker?
Uh, well, is this question coming from United States? Because,
From India.
oh, India is the new West, let me tell you this. The urban India is the urban India is further west from Los Angeles. So, this takeaway culture, okay, you said all this, but what is the takeaway? Tell me three things that I can do. No, there's only one thing that you have to do. No, three things, I'll make it much simpler for you. Only one thing that you don't have, if you're in the university, you want to pass this examination, passed. Then what? You need a job, got it. Then what? You need promotion, you got it. Then what? You want $1 million, you got it. Then what? Then you want this car, that house, this wife, that kind, this, everything, everything. Got it, got it, got it, got it right now. Then what? Just look at this one thing, you will become a seeker.
Very
Interesting.
The only problem is, you're approaching… you have a intellect that no other animal has, no other creature on this planet has. You're not making use of it to… The idea of such an intellect and such a vivid sense of memory right now that human beings have, no other creature has the complexity of memory that we have. So the fundamental nature of this is that you don't have to go through every experience of life. Sitting here with your memory structure and your intellect, you can experience everything that human beings experience just by sitting here. Even with eyes closed, you can experience all those things, because all human experience happens within you. The range of possible experiences that can happen within you, you can go through by yourself. You don't have to spend a lifetime to experience little bit of food, little bit of sexuality, little bit of meditation, little bit of this, that, peacefulness, joyfulness, blissfulness, whatever. You can sit here and do all that in the next 5 minutes and be done with life. Does it mean you're done? No. That means the longing to expand beyond these limited things will naturally arise. That's when you become a seeker.
So here's a question from London. This is coming from Shrey in London, and asking what worries you most about the state of the planet today?
I'm not the worrying kind, but well, one thing that we must see, the only choice that we have is this: the planet is not in any kind of peril. It's only human experience which could go through terrible things if we don't take care of a few things. So if you're using the word worry in such a way, yes, what worries most is just the top 39 inches of soil on this planet. The average topsoil on the planet is 39 inches. These 39 inches of soil literally is responsible for over 90% of life on this planet, including us. These 39 inches of soil, there has been a huge amount of degradation in the quality of that soil in terms of its organic content, in terms of the amount of life that should be happening within that. The biodiversity has been dropping drastically in the last 50 to 70 years. So if we don't take care of this 39 inches of the soil, and the only way we can take care of it is to put back substantial organic content into it. The only way we can put back the organic content is the green litter from the trees and the animal waste. Animals we are eating up in billions per year, and trees are largely gone. So this is the concern. If we don't put substantial amount of world's soil under, others will reduce in their numbers and they may bounce back the moment human beings are gone. See, this is something we need to understand. We kind of touched upon this when I was talking to Kunal. For example, if all the insects on this planet disappear, all life on this planet will end within 4 to 6 years' time. If all the worms disappear, in 18 to 24 months, all the life will disappear on this planet, including you and me. If all the microbes and, viruses and bacteria and everything disappear, life will end right now. But if all human beings disappear, planet will flourish. So we need to understand this, that we are not the center of the universe. This is one of the most disastrous ideas that has entered human mind, is that in terms of religions and philosophies, people started propagating that every other life here is here to serve human beings. Human being is the centerpiece. Human being is made in God's own image and he is the center and all life is supposed to serve him. You do one thing, you go to a colony of ants and ask them, do you want to serve human beings? They will come up your legs and they teach you a lesson, all right? They will tell you that they have a complete life of their own. Every creature has a complete life of its own. They are not here to serve us, but their very nature of existence is serving our existence. We must be grateful and respectful and caring about them because we have a capability to create and destroy. Right now, we are largely exercising our capability to destroy, not exercising our ability to create.
Thank you.
So I think time is up. I might ask you one question of my own to finish, which is that there's a lot of discussion about this word resilience. And I wonder what you make of it. You referred to going out into the jungle and living through a monsoon. And I've spoken to other people who've had very tough times growing up, who have come through this current crisis actually in a perhaps a healthier mental state than some of us who didn't have those tougher times. So I wonder if there's any lesson there or anything that you would add to that.
When I was in the
No,
jungle, oh, so you're asking Sadhguru. Sorry, Sadhguru.
I'm sorry, please. Yeah, you want to say something,
I
say
was
it.
joking. I've never been in the jungle. That was a joke.
No, you meant the Jungle Book, I understand.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally what it is. Yeah, literally movie. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, me going through the monsoons in tropical forests were not tough times, they were the best times of my life. I never saw it as tough time, nor do I look back on it as tough time. I described it the way I described because most people don't have an experience of the planet. Their whole experience is always of 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Their air conditioners are set like that, and that's all they know on the four walls in which they're living. By doing this, both physiologically and psychologically, you're becoming fragile. So, one who is living on this planet, experiencing this planet, is not naturally far more resilient, but I don't like to use that word resilient. He's a lot more natural, he's more life. This is why I said, unfortunately, most human beings are given to misunderstand their social and psychological setup as existential realities. Rain, sun, flood, river, ocean, this is all the world. Your ideas of what is this, what is that is all psychological. Every day it can change. You can go through 10 scapes of your psychological phases right now if you're willing, but most people are stuck to one scape. But if you're willing, 10 different… What happened when you were 12 years of age? What was your idea of the world and what was most important to you? What happened when you were 18? What happened when you're 30, 40, 50, 60? If you look at it, you took 60 years to get through this, but if you are willing, you have enough intelligence. I'm saying every human being, not any special human being. Every human being has the necessary intellectual infrastructure to go through all of it within 5 minutes, if he's willing, if he or she is willing, within 5 minutes you can go through the 60 years of experience and evolve quickly. This is what evolving consciously meant. So what you need is not resilience. The word resilience gives you a feeling that you're holding on to something really hard. I am not holding on to anything really hard. It is just that you… you have understood and you have experienced that your existence is not independent. It is in relation to everything else. See, the way we launched some of the major, massive movements that we launched in India is simply like this. We launched what is called as Rally for Rivers, one Project Green Hands, now Conscious Planet. The basis how I brought this about in people's experience is this. I saw there was not enough green cover in the southern states where we were. So it was 16%. I said our aspiration is 33%. How to get it there? So initially I tried to talk about, see, we need to plant trees. Nobody had any attention. Then I made them sit in hot sun at 11 o'clock in the morning. In southern India, it'll get you. So then I moved them under the tree shade and everybody, like that. Then I told them I set up a certain process which is still going on. I said, just breathe and see. What you exhale, the tree is inhaling. What the tree is exhaling, you are inhaling. There is a certain way to make it a living experience within you. Once they sat there and experienced this, they realized one half of their lung is hanging out there. And they're planting trees and planting trees, you can't stop them now. Because they know it's their lungs.
It's a really beautiful place to stop. I wish we could continue, but Sadhguru and Kunal Nair, it's been such a pleasure having you on the Be the Revival, the India Global Week. I've been Edie Lush, and I hope very much to come into contact with you guys again.
Thank you.
Namaskaram, and my best wishes for the India Week that's happening. Manoj and others who are putting this together. The most important aspect of India is this: an absolute experience of inclusiveness and an immense experience of life is what we call as Bharat or Yoga. So this experience needs to happen to every human being if you want to make human beings as supportive and productive as microorganisms are to life. Good time to look at it at the time of virus.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Namaste.